Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. But do me a favor, before the podcast starts here, click the little subscribe button in the corner, all right? If you don't like the podcast at the end of it, unsubscribe. Totally get it. That's fine. If you do, then you'll get a notification every time you come on YouTube. At the very bottom, it's a silent one. It doesn't do anything. Just a little red dot on your little envelope down there. It'll tell you that there's a new episode that you can check out. I hope you enjoy the podcast. I had a real good time. Damn it. No, I think I'm good with that. Yeah. Okay, so my podcast this morning, which is, I don't do very many morning ones, man. I don't know what, with the talking in the morning, like I'm not as good
Oh,
as
you usually do evenings?
Yeah, we usually do evenings.
Oh, sorry, I requested it earlier.
No,
I was going to text you and say, hey, I'm available at 7 too.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get you here for quite a while just because
I'm in and out so much, though.
You are, and your story and everything is, we talked for quite a while before the podcast. It's interesting. I think that a lot of people could relate with it, coming from, just regular background of regular guy, and then ended up in Fallujah and all these places you went to with the Marines. And then, I think a lot of people come home from that kind of service and they don't do what you did after that. Like, you raised over $100,000.
Close to, not over. I'm almost at over.
I thought I saw an article that said over 100, but no,
I'm close to 100,000. Yeah, I'm nearly at 100,000.
Pretty damn big chunk of change. So, and what was that for? Like, just explain what because I donated some money to it and I read it, but I mean, I'd like.
I remember because I could see all the names that come across.
Yeah, good.
It's for the Semper Fund. Semper Fund is an organization that assists injured and wounded service members pretty much immediately when you get injured. What a lot of civilians don't understand is that when someone gets injured, especially in combat, yes, you're going to get taken care of, you're going to be operated on or whatever it is. But, my wife, Kelly, she's a teacher, and at the time, she was still newly a teacher, at Carl Sandburg High School.
Yeah.
And she got word that I was injured and,
wow.
Yeah. And then, I was being operated on and obviously didn't know my status at the time. Because I was actually injured by a grenade. And actually, my status was I look fine now, but my status was pretty bad at the time.
Right. Like I said, before the podcast, I saw a picture, and your chest was opened up.
That was another time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I know you have to understand, you got an enlisted individual, such as myself, and then you got a teacher. Our income isn't that high. We're public servants.
Yes, right.
And then, so they told her, hey, once he's out of, out of Baghdad ER, we're sending him to Germany, and they said, it would be best that Kelly goes to Germany. And of course she's like, oh man, okay, so she's looking for plane tickets.
Yeah, right.
So all that cost a lot of money. And this was at the time when, cell phones weren't, as popular as they are now, and especially the plans. So she's talking to a lot of the doctors, and all of a sudden her cell phone bills just skyrocketed. And I didn't know this till after the fact.
Right.
And then they said, okay, now we're going to move Mike from one hospital to another hospital. So I went straight from Launchstool to Bethesda, and then Andrews, and then Naval Hospital to June. So I got bounced around quite a bit. And so she's like, oh my God, where am I going to go from one plane to another plane? So everything started stacking up pretty high with bills.
Yeah, bills, right.
It's all being put on credit card. And I didn't know this till years later, that the Semper Fund pretty much, I was still in the hospital bed, went up to, Kelly, and they said, here's a check to assist you on any of your needs. And they pretty much cut her a check. I don't know how much it was at the time, and I still don't know how much it was, but it put a good dent in the credit card.
That's a great thing to just straight up, here's a check.
Yep.
We know you're doing the right thing. Just here's a check to soften the blow of everything that's going on.
And it was brought on by 2 nurses who were the wives of 2 officers in the Marine Corps at the time. So the Semper Fund was pretty much started off in the kitchen with an idea to say, hey, what are we doing for our guys that are getting injured, especially at the time, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, we had high casualty rates at the time. And so the Semper Fund assisted us. And
now where's that today? Do you know how much because you yourself almost $100,000.
Yeah, they're still doing great things, and we still have guys in the fight. We still have, I just had another buddy of mine was just killed not too long ago. And we have guys that are being injured as well. And so Semper Fi Fund not only assists just the Marines, but obviously we're the Department of the Navy. So, we have SARCs, which are Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsmen. We have the Navy SEALs. Anybody that falls under the Navy. But they also assist the Army as well. So it's called America's Fund. So the Semper Fi Fund also has America's Fund. So and obviously the numbers on the Army side, big Army's big Army.
Yeah, right.
So they assist a lot. Numbers wise, I'm not sure. I should probably know this, but it's on their website. Everything's open.
I'll post a link to it. On the podcast. But so I know for the longest time, like your son wears a memorial. Does he still wear that same thing?
He does. He's actually wearing a buddy of ours who was killed. The year date's going to come around this year. He was a Navy SEAL. His name was Ryan. So Seth's wearing Ryan's singlet this year. Every single year, we dedicate the season to one of our, not just any name, but somebody I know personally. And
it's a different person. I didn't know that. I thought it was.
It's a different person every single year.
I think I read it on there where I was in Tulsa with you guys. When Seth broke his arm.
Were you there for that one?
I was there for that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a fun event.
No, he was rolling right through it, and then that injury happened. But he had that singlet there, and I remember
that was one of the singlets.
Yeah, one of them. Right. Wow.
That might have been the first year he probably started doing it. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I know I'd seen it on before, but I don't think I got a chance to really read it until there when I was reading what was going on there. I knew it was a memorial one. So, can I ask how do you deal with all that, man? That's a lot to... I've known you for a bunch of years through wrestling, and you seem to deal with it you wouldn't know it. I mean, I think I'd know you were in the service and that you had served, but I don't think that I would know that you saw everything that you saw and then lost friends and everything else. I don't know. I hear these stories, people that really have a really, really hard time dealing with it. And if you are having a hard time, I understand, but it doesn't show on the outside. I don't see it.
Well, thanks, I guess. We all deal differently with different situations. I mean, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
I guess one way I could try to paint you a picture is my first catastrophic or maybe the first horrible memory I could have is during our first ambush, and I think it was there in 2004. At the time I've already been in the service for quite some years, and my captain was killed pretty much right next to me, as we're running. He got shot in the chest. And at the time, he was alive to the moment he was pulled from me. He pretty much was in my lap, in my arms right here as we're stripping his body armor off and trying to see where his wounds are. And I talk to his parents all the time, Mike and Molly, not from the show, but that's really their name.
Right, yeah.
And they live down in Tennessee, and I just saw them last year, and I talked to them quite often. And it was actually kind of hard when I told them that, one of Brent's last, words were, get me out of here, or I'm going to die. I was like, shit, man, don't put that shit on me.
Yeah, right, right.
I was like,
that's tough.
But that's one of his last words, and of course another one's like, you'll be back home to your wife Amy soon. Mm-hmm. And of course I have another buddy of mine that was there. I'll try to omit some names just because some of them are still doing some cool guy stuff. And that's what I call it, cool guy stuff. So they're still doing some cool guy stuff. And I remember he was right next to me, and he says, hey, give him some water. So I didn't have any water with me at the time, but my buddy had a Camelback, and we're trying to squeeze it and put it in Brent's mouth and, do whatever we can. And Brent was already, he was a ginger. He was real pale skin.
Yeah, sure.
He had red hair. Yeah. But to see the life just get sucked right out of him was really life-changing. And then at that moment, once we made our way back after the fire, I mean, it was a pretty big one. We got word that, one of them, that Brent didn't make it. You don't have time to mourn. You don't really have time to process that kind of, I guess, sadness. So either you just bottle it up, or, you put it to the side and think about it when you can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that one deployment, I was there for, I don't know, let's just say 7 months later, finally come home. And I'm training, going right back, ready to go right back at it. So you really don't have time to start thinking. So I don't know if it's like maybe I'm bottling it up and or just thinking about it differently. But there are some guys that, that have trouble with it. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not as sensitive as some other people. And, I've heard that people tell you, Mike, you're not, you don't think about other people's feelings. It's like, actually, I do.
Right.
You know, I just don't think of it at that angle. Put it this way, you know, hit angles in wrestling, right?
Yeah, right.
But my angle when it comes to, you know, hurting people's feelings or thinking about other people's feelings, it's not about keeping them in a comfort zone. It's about progressing and moving forward.
Sure. So and reality moves you forward.
Correct, because if you actually sit on something, it's going to hold you back, and you're not going to make forward progress.
Sure. Now,
that goes with everything.
How many deployments did you do?
In the Marine Corps, I've had 3, and then with my other service, countless. I don't know. I've been deployed more than, I don't know, for I guess 8 years after that too. So
right.
I continue to still do work.
Now, see, like I think some of the biggest problems that I hear with the guys nowadays in the service compared to the guys back when my dad was in Vietnam and my grandfather was in World War II is the amount of times that they keep getting sent back. Like it's taxing. I mean, it is,
but I enjoy it.
Yeah, right. I got a buddy that's in the Air Force, and he's like, you know, he's been to Afghanistan a whole mess of times and everything else, and it's just like, he's like, it's a lot. It's a lot to be away from family. It's a lot to, I mean, you're a pretty busy guy, family-wise too. Like I love seeing the pictures of you guys hunting and the fishing and the, you know, all that stuff too. So it's got to be, I don't know, man. You got to have a switch somewhere. You're flipping to be the guy there, and then the guy here has got to be 2 different people.
I'd like to think I'm the same person. You know,
yeah.
I think I'm pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my priority number 1 is my family. You know,
yeah,
and then,
right.
And then everything else is secondary at the time. I mean, you know, I'm big with Seth in his wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, he runs cross country. I'm big with Carly and her, you know, and her sports as well.
Sure.
And I'm just big on, you know, just doing stuff at home for myself, such as fishing, hiking, you know, hunting. I'll be going on a hunt as soon as I get back from Super 32. So I'm headed out to Super 32 this weekend. So I know you've been trying to get me on here, just like
yeah. And I mean, you know, I'm always trying to get people on that are interesting. I just actually last night talked to a guy who's hunted on 5 continents, and he's a big game hunter, and he's going to come on after. He can't right now because he's super busy with the hunting season's on. But you know, he's like, every free minute, man, I'm out there scouting or doing whatever I'm doing. But so yeah, it's tough to track guys down. But I mean, you know, that I as long as I wasn't bugging you too much, you know what I mean?
No, you weren't. I feel kind of bad sometimes. Like, damn it, I haven't got back to him.
No, not at all. I wasn't taking it that way at all. What's nice about this is I've gotten a bunch of times to talk to you, but it's always like 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, because we're, you know, most of the time I see you, it's near a wrestling mat, and you're off to coach somebody somewhere doing something, and I'm the same. I'm booking this way, you're going that way. So, like, for me, it's great to actually, like, have a in-depth conversation with somebody and get to know somebody that way than, you know, just quick. I kind of, my analogy is, it's like everything's like the news. It's a headline. You get the cliff notes real quick from someone. How's it going? Everything going good? Yeah, everything's going good.
Yeah.
But you didn't tell me anything. Like, I didn't get to hear anything. Social media is fine, but, you know, I don't know. Most people on there, they're posting something to be bragging about or some nonsense. So I don't pay that much attention to that either. But, so just to give a summary, because I want to go deep into it, is you mean like tons of combat veteran Marine, and then you the thing that like is like, I don't make my eyes bulge out, is you did 26 long distance triathlons in 8 months. Is that right?
Yeah, less than 8 months, and 2 marathons.
And 2 marathons, right? Which don't let those out. But 70.3 miles. So I mean, do you just enjoy making people feel like they're fucking mediocre, or what? I mean, I see people with a 13.1 on the back of their car.
There's the ones that say 0.0. Have you seen those?
No.
Yeah, there's like, you know, because they're mocking the people that have like the 26 or the 13 and
right,
or whatever. There's one that says 0.0. So next time you're driving, like, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I like those ones that say 0.0.
Right. I figure you just have 26 70.3s on there and, you know, make everyone feel terrible.
No, I didn't mean to do that many, to tell you the truth. No, I mean, I guess you could say I'm a little bit seasoned now, I guess, as a triathlete. But prior to that, I only had like a year and a half under my belt. Like, I've never done triathlons.
Right. Now, how did you hatch the idea? Because I mean, when I first met you, you weren't doing anything like that.
Mm-hmm, no, I wasn't.
Right.
Well, I had switched clubs for wrestling, and then there's a buddy of mine that's over there. He says, "Hey, Mike, you're pretty good at running. You ever decide to do the Chicago Triathlon?" And I was like, "No, I never thought about it." So I did it, and I got a bike and I started training a little bit for it. I suck at swimming. I'm a very strong swimmer. I'm just not fast. I could be out in a pond, a lake, a pool, whatever it is, and I'll be in there for hours on end. I'll tread water forever.
Yeah,
I think I'm amphibious by nature, to tell you the truth.
Right.
But I'm not very fast.
Okay.
And then cycling, I got these big old thighs that, I'm pretty fast with it. And I just, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I think I'm a pretty good workhorse. And that just comes with, muscle memory, conditioning, just from the years prior and years past. And, I just don't know how to say no to stuff. And
now, what is the breakdown?
Swimming, cycling, and running.
Right. Okay.
But each event's different. The very first race that I did was the Chicago.
Oh, the distances are different for each. Oh, I thought it was a set thing.
No, it's not. So the Chicago Triathlon, which is the one I did, was an Olympic race, which is like the swim is only like 0.9, I think. I don't even know the distance on an Olympic. So it's just shy of a mile. And then the bike is only, I think, I don't know, I could be wrong. Someone's going to be like, "How do you do all these races? He's a bullshitter. Does he really do them?" I was like, "No, I just do the race."
Yeah, right.
I think the bike is only 25 miles, and then it's only a 10K, so 6.2 miles.
Okay.
For the Olympic. When I did that one, I ended up taking like 7th overall, and I won my age group.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
And then my buddy who I was with, and his wife was like showing me, he's like, "Mike, look where you are,"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool,"
Yeah, right. No, that's awesome.
And then I decided to do, only a couple months later, I did Steelhead half Ironman, which is a 70.3 race. So that same season, I decided to do the half Ironman race, and that's the one that was really a kick in the junk. That really hurt.
Yeah, right.
Because I wasn't used to that long of a race.
70.3. That's
and it was hot, and this race actually had a lot of hills in it. So I finished that one, and then a few months later, I decided to do the full Ironman down in Louisville.
Okay.
And in my eyes, I crushed it. I think I was just at the 10-hour mark. So it took me 10 hours to do that one, which is actually pretty good. But I crushed it. I beat a lot of people that were seasoned.
Yeah, right.
And I wasn't trying to race. I was doing it at a comfortable pace.
Now, okay. So when you got into that, were you just like, the hell with it? I'm just gonna go start doing this. Was it like a Forrest Gump situation where you just put the gym shoes on and started going?
I needed a different outlet of working out.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but I'm probably a lot skinnier than I used to be. But you become who you hang out with, and of course,
you just came off an injury too. You just broke your collarbone or something.
Yeah, so I got hit. I was at the Wisconsin Ironman, and I got hit on my bike during the bike portion. So yeah, I had a separated AC, separated my shoulder, clavicles broken, the scapula, tore all the ligaments in my shoulder, torn bicep. So that took me out for this year. But I was able to do the Berlin Marathon. I just came back from Berlin, Germany.
Okay.
So I canceled all my races, and I just did the Berlin Marathon just last weekend.
Okay.
Two weekends ago.
Okay, so you get into it, you're doing that stuff, and then when I almost think, boy, if in less than 8 months you're doing 26 70.3 mile races, there's no training. You're training when you're doing that's a ton of freaking races. You're talking about what 32 weeks or less, and then 26 setups. So how long does it take hours wise? It's like 10 hours. You're saying?
That's for a full Ironman. The half one, I averaged sub 5 hours, so I did really well actually.
Okay.
When I did my 70.3 Ironmans, I averaged about 5 hour mark, and then some of them were faster, some of them were slower, depending on the course. But the way I looked at it, it was all mindset, and I tell this to a lot of the athletes that I've worked with and I still work with, and just individuals themselves. It's really all mindset. They're like, how the hell are you going to do a 70.3 Ironman every single weekend? Actually, it's just a long workout. So after I was done with my race, I would take a day off, maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes no days. What I would do as soon as I'm done with the race, I'd actually go for another jog. Probably for about another hour jog the next
day. Now, why?
It's so we all know about lactic acid.
Yeah, to disperse lactic acid.
If we don't know about it, after you work out or during your workout, your muscles, it's not really for cramp, but your the blood in your body, it's not oxygenated.
Right.
For those who aren't listening.
No, I think that's something that a lot of people wouldn't know about. I know a little bit more about lactic acid because my favorite fish to fish for actually is one of the only fish that builds up lactic acid. It's a muskie or esox.
Yeah.
They build up lactic acid, and then sometimes they cramp up so bad that they die. Because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. So the only muskie I've ever killed, that's what happened, and it was too hot that day, not enough oxygen in the water, and it cramped up and it died. So yeah, and the wrestlers do the same thing. Some wrestlers will go run a couple of sprints after their match to disperse the lactic acid.
Yeah, and it's basically you need oxygen in your blood.
Yes,
that's what it is. I mean, you're breathing so heavy.
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
And not that you're hyperventilating, but you have to think. Oxygen goes into your brain. And then obviously oxygen goes into your blood. Well, where does your blood go? It goes into your muscles. And what do you use when you're working out? Whether it's lifting weights or cycling or push-ups, you name it. Well, our muscles have oxygen in it. Kind of just hold your breath. You're going to need oxygen.
Absolutely.
Same thing with your muscles.
Right.
So what I would just continue to work out. So whether I was driving back home or flying back home right away, the minute I would come home, usually the next day, I would just continue a regular workout, a 2-hour workout, 3-hour workout. And then those Sundays when I would race, it's usually anywhere from like a 5 to 6 hour race. So they were just long workouts for me.
Right.
In my mind.
Now, how did these were all over the country, right? Or were they all in the U.S.?
One was in Canada, one was in Mexico.
Okay, so three countries, yeah. Pretty cool, man. So how did you fund that? Like, how do you fund? That's a lot of travel.
Yeah, so everybody that asked me was like, "Oh, you're fundraising for your races?" I was like, no. So all the money that I raised went straight to the Semper Fi Fund. I didn't keep one penny of it. I love to say that. As a matter of fact, I can't even touch it.
Sure.
It was all self-funded. I funded my own races.
Really?
So I did a lot of. I'm horrible at social media. I just suck at it. I know I'm bad at it. Kelly gets on me all the time. She's like, "You need to post more of this." I was like, "I can't. Can someone do it for me?" And,
right.
I just don't know how to talk. Social media, I guess. I get there's really a lingo for it, and there's really an algorithm for that stuff, and hashtags this and whatever.
Engagements. The more engagements you get, the more people are looking at it. Yeah, no, I got it.
So basically, I started contacting Orca, Normatec, Theragun, all these places, and I said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I would love to have your product. I don't want to buy it though." There are a lot. I would say 99% of the time, I always got no's. I called hotels. I said, "Hey, I'm coming to your town. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm trying to do good things,
Yeah.
But for me to do good things, I need help, outside help as well.
Yeah.
Hotels are horrible too. They're like, "Oh no, we'll give you 5% off."
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and then word started getting around like, "Hey, I got a camper you can use once you head out to Maine," or I got a house. To stay at down in Chattanooga, or I got a house in Colorado. So friends started talking about, "Hey, Mike's coming to your town. Do you have a spare room?" When I was down in Florida. So I would say about half of my races, I had a place to lay my head just from word of mouth.
Right. That's good. Okay, all right.
So I was able to save on hotels that way.
So no hotel stepped up, huh?
Not one.
Not
one hotel.
That's terrible.
As a matter of fact, I got a good buddy that I work with. He has a client who's pretty high profile, who's a high profile athlete. He heard what I was doing, and he put me in his condo down in Florida. That was where I did the Miami race.
Yeah.
And so I never met him, but he had a big heart to let me use his condo while he wasn't there.
Right.
And this is like letting a stranger go into your house when you're not there.
Right.
So,
well, but if you if I had someone contact me and say, "Well, there's a stranger, but this is what he's doing," I would pretty much, be like, "Well, he's obviously a guy that's on the level. He's not here to, steal my TV."
Yeah,
so,
no, you're correct.
Right.
So that helped a lot. I still am very appreciative of all that stuff, and I always try to even return the favor by making small things for them, thank you cards, whatever I can do.
Sure.
So the way
indirectly they're helping fund the Semper Fi Fund because they're putting you up and taking part of the burden out of it. I would think you should crowdfunding and everything else. You should have been able to you would have had to donate less if you would have not had any help. As far as that
correct.
Goes.
So if I would have did that, was the crowd whatever you call it,
crowdfunding.
Yeah, they take percentages, man.
Do those sites,
So if you were to donate through Semper, they keep zero.
Yeah.
So 100% went straight to, the veteran in need. And the reason I raised all this money was because first off they assisted me, and I was like, well, it's time for me to give back. You know, I don't have to. I want to give back.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are missing arms. I have friends that are missing legs. I have friends that are blind. And they're all very active. I mean, they have, like, just like your house. I mean, you're in a wheelchair.
Yep.
A lot of stuff has to be outfitted.
Yep.
Some of these guys just don't have the ability to access, so that's where Semper Fund jumps in. It's like, hey, you need your doorway widened up for your wheelchair. We'll assist you.
Right. Right.
They're not there to give them a living, but they're there to assist. At least get them forward progress.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Right.
And that's what the Semper Fund did for me when I was in. They kind of like took some of that burden off with the credit card bills that we had.
Well, you're going through enough as it is. I mean, they have the financial problems after all of the other stuff is that, there's, thank God for stuff like that. So
you're correct. And to me, actually, I feel good knowing that, I'm helping out other people, whether I meet them or I don't meet them.
Right.
And I still continue to do it. I still continue to raise money, and I still continue to race. And I'm doing other things too. As a matter of fact, even Seth is now starting to do the same stuff. I mean, Carly did a lemonade stand over this summer, and she donated all her, the profits, to the shelter, the animal shelter.
Nice.
She's a big animal lover.
Right.
So, and Seth's trying to find a way to do, so maybe I'm bleeding off onto them, and
hope so.
And they're marrying off of me.
Right.
But, there's these youth athletes that are disadvantaged, that don't have the ability to pay for, a sports card, like for football, wrestling, you name it, or gear. And if there's a way that we can assist, or Seth's idea, assist some of these athletes that are disadvantaged. I mean, not everybody comes from a family with a mom and a dad. Not everybody comes from a family with either of those.
Right, right. We were talking about Beat the Streets, and you were like, the biggest thing you were upset about with Beat the Streets is they don't have like a platform mission statement for exactly what they're doing that they could help out.
I'm not really upset. I'm just like,
right, but it was like it was the biggest gripe you had with it. It was like, but this should be here. This should be the foundation of what you're doing, and it's not there. Like
they're assisting, disadvantaged youth athletes, but it's just like, if they promote that,
could do better, right?
They would. I mean, you got to think. I mean, if we can have some of these athletes, youth individuals in sports rather than on the streets, or mirroring their parents' bad habits, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or violence, whatever it is.
Sure.
Or just sitting on the couch clicking a TV, or playing PlayStation, whatever it is.
We get real caught up in like my boys are seniors in high school, so like colleges are sending letters and texts and calling and stuff like that, and the mindset on my boys gets to be like, well, where am I? They're in AP Science, AP Math, and they want to be engineers. So they're really like scrutinizing colleges and stuff like that. And I set them aside about a month ago. And I'm like, listen, I go, that's great that you're focused on that stuff, and you should keep yourself working hard and doing the right thing. But I go, you're in a position that you'll never not have a place to live as far as with me or something like that. I go, so you guys should also think about, as soon as your college is done, or you're done getting your first degree or whatever you're doing, you have the ability to join the Peace Corps. You can go serve your country. You don't necessarily need to serve it in the Marines. Yeah. You can do something.
Well, there's the Army Corps of Engineers. They build stuff.
Right. You can go dig wells in another country, something like that. So, and they were actually like, really? And I'm like, yes, because when you're 23, 24 years old, that's the time to do that stuff. You don't have any encumbrance, where when you're 36, it gets to be a whole lot tougher because you're trying to, feed a family and everything else. So I commend you for it. I think there's people that on the outside watching you run all those marathon or all the long distance triathlons thought like it was some sort of ego trip or something like that. But I was sure it was, holy shit, look at all the money this guy's raising for this fund. And how else do you draw attention to yourself for something like that, but do something amazing as far as like, there's people that run half a marathon and they're not trying to win anything. They're just out there trying to like, make an accomplishment. And I commend them for that too. I think those are the best ways to stay in shape. I had a guy that owns a jiu-jitsu dojo or whatever it's called in here. And he's like, if someone wants to get in shape, a better way to get in shape would be to like come roll instead of like going to LA Fitness, because then you're actually doing something. You're going to go compete. You have a motive to get in shape rather than. So I mean, like a byproduct of what you were doing was you had to be in phenomenal shape to be running all those and not
yeah,
come up injured.
I would definitely say so. Yeah.
And I mean, did you do anything? I mean, there's pro football players that are making millions of dollars a year that come up with a hamstring, or what were you doing to like?
I've always been in shape, to tell you the truth. I mean, I've always been active. I don't know if it's the ADD in me or whatever, but I've always anywhere from lifting weights to you name it.
Right.
I've always liked to push the limits. I don't know. I guess Kelly always says, when you do one thing, it's either all or nothing, and that's just the way it is. I really don't have a down the middle road. Like, there's some people that just do stuff to do stuff. If I do something, I'm gonna go all at it. I mean,
obviously.
Not just with racing. That's just with anything.
I don't know if it's physically possible for some people to do what you did. To be honest with you, like
actually, I had this conversation before, and what the hardest part is, it's not the physical part, and you're saying it's physically impossible. It's actually very possible. A lot of people can do it.
Mike, you're taking it as it was pretty fucking easy, which
it
is
wasn't
insane.
easy. So they say completing it was also. I'll put it this way: completing it was hard, but not impossible. Now, I raced every single race where I was trying to win my age group, trying to be like top 10%.
Yeah, you were being competitive in it too.
Very competitive.
Right.
That's the hard part, because I figured that, I'm just going to do these races and try to stay healthy. And I was just like, after the first and second race, I was like, screw this, man. I'm going to, I have friends that have problems, getting up in the morning. They got to put on a leg,
Yeah, right.
I got, everybody has these problems. I was like, if the hardest thing for me to do is just suck for 5 hours or 6 hours, and hurt, then I can do that, because there's individuals out there that are hurting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of their life.
Right.
So that's just some of the pain that I was just trying to accept for myself. And then, but if you're just going to do a race to do it, yes, I think it's totally possible. The other hard part was just being gone and still trying to make a living too at the same time, because I'm using my own money and still trying to make money at the same time on my own, and then being gone from the family. So my family was very supportive with it. So some people can't be gone from their house for a week without them being crazy, or their wife going crazy on them, like, where have you been? What are you doing?
Yeah.
The thing is with me and Kelly, we've been together since 97. She's used to me being gone, even years at a time,
right.
Or 9 months, 7 months at a time, or 3 months, or maybe even being home for 2 years at a time. So we have that inconsistency of like, oh, Mike, you got to go? Okay, it's cool. I'll see you when you get back.
Yeah.
So,
Kelly's pretty cool. She is. I mean, I've talked to her a bunch of times, and she is really, really, level-headed and takes everything in stride, sort of a thing, And I mean, the both of you are from my vantage point. So like, I see a lot of people that are parents, and I don't think everyone's got their own thing that they want to do. That's fine, but I broke my neck in 2003. My sons were a year and a half old. My daughter was 3. I had a fine life before I broke my neck. I was, made a lot of money, did whatever I wanted to do. I spent a week, snowboarding in Tahoe or Vail or something like that every year. I was a couple weeks in Canada every year. My life was going great. I broke my neck, and the very best time of my life has been raising my kids.
Yeah.
And it's been all with a broken neck. So like it has. It's been. I wouldn't trade it for anything. If someone said, here, here's $1 billion, what do you want to buy? And I'd be like, well, can I buy 5 more years with my kids as kids? Because my guys are all grown now. My boys are 18, my daughter's 20. That's gone. And I mean, it's been amazing. So when I see people that are being parents on the level that you guys are, I think it's terrific. I think it's terrific that you guys, and you don't seem to take it for granted either. Like I see Kelly's posts on social media, and she's like, so happy when you are home and, like spend time with the kids, and just the fishing you're doing right out by the pond that's by your house and everything else. I mean, I pat you on the back, I tell you. Because and I've been through a thing or two, but to be through everything you've been through. And so, okay, so back to you joined, you enlisted in the Marines in what year? 97. And then you were done with that in what year?
07, so 10 years.
10 years. Now, why that decision?
I had got injured. It was my severity, the severity of my injury. I mean, I could have stayed in, fought the med board, which is the medical board.
Yeah.
at the time they were like, I had a case manager in the hospital.
Because you were going to be a lifer, obviously,
Yeah.
right? I mean, 10 years, and you're planning on doing 20 at least, right?
At a minimum, you're correct.
Yeah.
And I was doing very well. I mean, not to brag, but everything that I do, I'm good at.
Yeah.
So I thought I thought I was a really good Marine. I was doing very well. And I love being a Marine. And it's you hear guys talk about like, I can't wait to get out after my 4 years. I was like, they're my 4 years. I was always trying to find a way to get faster, get stronger, get smarter, improve myself every single time. I don't care if it was anywhere from not tying to knowing formations, knowing weapon skills, you name it.
Sure.
I was always trying to improve myself one way or another. And to me, that was just my own challenge. And then when I got injured, my case manager says, "Hey, Mike, we could put you in for retirement." And I was like, "Retirement? Hell no, I'm only like 26 years old. Why would I want to do that?"
Yeah, right.
And of course, she gave me a lot of my options. Like, if you retire now, not that you have to retire, but you have a good case for retirement and stuff like that. You can go home with your family, have a different life. And I was like, "Oh, okay." But then again, I got recruited right away.
Sure.
And then with that recruitment, I might as well have stayed in because I'm always gone.
Now, but I mean, do you find one lifestyle to be? I mean, are you able to? Do you have more freedom to do what you want?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I mean, you're pretty much under the thumb of the Marines when you're in the Marines. You're going wherever they say go, and you have choices.
Sort of, yes and no. I mean, what I did in the Marine Corps, it's more of a specialized thing that I did. Now, if you're just in a line company, or if you're under like I'm in an infantry unit, or if you're just in the basic Marine Corps, I guess you do have the spotlight on you, and you're going to go where they tell you to go. Sort of, yes and no, but you make your own pipeline at the same time. And I was making my own pipeline at the time, and but yeah, with where I am now, I can kind of choose to work when I want to work, but I have to work. If I don't work, then I get taken off the roster, and then I have to go get recertified, and it's a whole process starting over.
Yeah, because I think I ran into you at a wrestling meet the one time, and you said something about you were going to like take like a long span of time off, and you were going to be home for like a while, and like so. I mean, that's a freedom that you wouldn't have if you were.
You're correct. Yeah, that I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, who knows where our lifestyle would be right now if I stayed in.
Right.
I could be living in North Carolina. I could be living in California.
Right now, I was born in Buford on the naval base there.
Okay, yeah. So who knows where I would be?
Right. So yeah, because I mean that's what you always hear about people that are in the service, and with your son's wrestling and your daughter's other sports and stuff like that, well, that probably makes it tougher to get embedded in coaches and everything else when you're traveling like that. If you're
without that. I mean, and then I love relying. I want to put it this way. I love getting outside input. Outside leadership, outside guidance for my son, so he can see how other people communicate, how the other people teach and stuff. Because as much as I know that your kids are only going to listen to you for so much, for so long, and what they want to listen to you for with. And then Seth does that too. It's just like dad knows this, dad knows that. I'm going to do it, but you get outside guidance that kind of opens up their eyes.
Absolutely. I just had we were in the gym lifting last night, and Garrett said something to me about why wouldn't he listen to? Oh, we were watching Troy, and he's like, why won't his nephew or cousin listen to Achilles? He's freaking Achilles. And I go, do you always listen to me?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, I go, do you think that I would ever do anything to put you in a bad situation? Or do you think I would ever tell you to do something that wasn't good for you? And he goes, well, no. And I go, well, you're still not going to listen to me all the time. He goes, well, no. And I'm like, yeah, so
there
that's
you go.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So I always felt especially in wrestling, because it's such an individual sport and everything else, I always felt that it was better to have other people's input than even mine. Mm-hmm. Because you can listen to me for me tell you to take the trash out, you can listen to me all day long for everything else, and if you're a good wrestler, it's what you're doing outside of practice anyway that makes the difference.
Yep.
So, so I like other people to be coaching my kids. I try to stay away from it as much as possible. And then I got the extra added all summer long. My sons are working 50 hours a week.
They're in my neighborhood building quite a few decks. I think. I stopped and talked to them,
They said they saw you. They said
Yeah.
they saw you and the Beckers, I think, were over that way too, or something.
Becker lives right by me.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But, did they ever finish it?
Oh yeah, that
Okay.
job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Because they know when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh, we're waiting for the delivery."
they'd screwed it up. Yeah,
Okay.
it was jacked up.
Okay, well,
when
good,
we
that's
got there,
good.
right? But it was a big job. It was like a second story deck, and they were over there for quite a while. But so I mean, they have to listen to me constantly telling them what to do constantly, and wrestling's been awesome for that. As far as like, you can play a lot of other sports and not have very much engagement with coaches if you're a baseball player.
Yeah, football,
But,
basketball, you name it.
But if you're a wrestler, boy, you're engaged with that coach for the entire match.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good, you're engaged with them a lot during the week, for what you're going to be doing and everything else too. So, there's a lot. And, like I said, I always encourage everybody. I think that wrestling is for everyone. When I see parents of, my son's, autistic or he's shy, and I'm like, it really doesn't matter. The triathlon thing, probably like you're saying, is for everyone too. No one's saying you got to win your age group, and right, but you can get out there. It's going to make you a better you.
Oh, it's a kick in the junk. I mean, you go out there, for those who haven't done it, I mean, if you don't know what it's like to quit, that'll test your limits right there. Especially if you're pushing yourself. I mean, you get that heat on you, you get that dehydration on you, you get, you're depleted of your nutrition. That deprivation of, just sleep, food, water, there's a lot of people throwing the towel, when it comes towards, the run portion of it.
Right.
Because who wants to go run another 2 hours plus after you get, I'm just saying that's for the 70.3 now. If you're running the full Ironman, who wants to go run another 4.5, 5 hours?
Right.
I mean, if you want to if you want to know what it's like to throw in a towel and just beat your own guts, go do an Ironman.
Yeah. Now, see, I would ask you a stupid question, but there was never a time during that 8-month period where you were like, this is not going to work out. I did see an article where you lost a bike.
I didn't lose the bike.
A bike got lost or got stolen or whatever.
So that was
there were some bumps in the road for sure.
A lot of bumps. So one of them was I was headed actually to the World Championships, so it was pretty cool. I got to race at the World Championships, and I forget what airline it was.
Now, is there a qualifier for that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
I qualified even for the year after in South Africa.
Okay.
So that's how well I did was, I was able to qualify for the World Championships. But I forget what airline it was. They did not deliver my bike. And I seen it. I seen it on the tarmac. I see them. I was like, there goes my bike. Can I get that? They're like, oh, it'll be sent down. Sure enough, I get down there. They're like, oh, we'll get it to you within 5 to 7 working days. I'm like, no, that's not going to work.
Right. Well, it's okay. So I have a story similar to that. When I travel on a plane, and travel on a plane when you're a guy in a wheelchair blows. It totally sucks. Because they put me literally on a dolly cart.
Oh, I'm
because the chair does not fit down the aisle in the plane. So I have to get out of the chair and go on this goofy, it's a fucking dolly. And it's got a little seat on it. And
so is it a wheelchair dolly?
No, it's it's a dolly. They tilt me back and push me down the thing. And then I got to jump onto the seat. That's all fine. But we will not let them. They want to, every time they want to store my wheelchair underneath the plane. Never. Because, you can't race your race. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
they're not going to let me take that dolly home. So I make them take my chair every single time and put it in the stewardess, in the flight attendant. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we throw a fit until they do. They fight it every time. The bigger bitch with that stuff is that if I go somewhere for any length of time, I got to bring a shower chair with me too. So I'm a guy with 2 chairs in the airport. Loads of fun. And they want to store one of them, obviously, underneath the plane because they're not going to put both of them there, which they can put the shower chair down there. That's fine. I've resorted to, instead of even trying to do that, I ship it UPS. I ship the thing to the hotel.
Yeah, but, I mean, airlines won't charge you a fee with the whole EDA thing.
Yeah.
They shouldn't, at least. But now you got to pay UPS.
I know. It is expensive, but at least I know it's there. So I'll ship it a week before, and then the hotel just holds it in a room there for me, and I know it's there. Because if I get somewhere and they lost that damn chair,
you're stuck.
Oh yeah, I'm in trouble, man. It's not like handicap stuff is so.
Well, they would probably give you a chair, but it's not going to be conducive to your size and everything.
Exactly where I was going. Right. So the bike thing, no one would just lend you a bike?
No, so yes. So what happened was Quintana Roo, who I ride, and they've been phenomenal throughout my whole journey, especially when I broke the record. And even now, Quintana Roo, they're out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, they got wind of it. They're like, so they gave me my exact bike, well, fitting and everything, and they fitted me. They fit me when I was down there. They're like, here's a bike.
Is there like a booth on site at the?
Well, that's where the headquarters are. At least Quintana.
Okay.
That was just
happened to be.
I mean, the stars, the moon, they all aligned that day.
Got it.
And Quintana Roo was on there, and they're like, they saw that I was kind of like, pissed off, distressed, and they're like, well, what's going on? I was like, my fucking bike.
Right.
They're like, what size do you have? What model do you have?
You're self-funding, so like this is a whole big waste.
They're correct.
Just, right.
And there's races where you can rent bikes.
Oh,
but
okay.
They're not cheap.
Right.
I mean, they're still going to charge you $400 or $500.
Sure.
For a bike.
$400 or $500
for the type of bike that I have, at least. You can rent a lower end bike for probably even $200 or $300, but still that's pricey.
That's real pricey.
And the bikes that you see out there that look like spaceships. I mean, they're pricey.
Right.
So when I was down there, Quintana Roo, they said they gave me a bike to use for the race. They linked me up with the helmet that I use, which is Rudy helmets that I wear, and they took me to their booth and said, "Hey, here, this is Mike." I didn't give myself this name, but like, hey, here's the Patriot Racer. So I was named the Patriot Racer.
Yeah, I've seen that on some of the articles. Yeah.
So I finally made a website on that, and then actually a buddy of mine's like, hey man, you're the Patriot Racer, So he's like, hey, this is the Patriot Racer. Like, no shit.
Yeah, if you can name it, that helps out. Branding is good. Right?
Yeah, they just wanted pictures with me and everything. I was like, take all the pictures you want. I don't care. Right. If you want to take off my shirt, I'll do that too.
Yeah, whatever it takes, man.
So they actually gave me a helmet too, and those helmets aren't cheap either.
Yeah.
The helmet they gave me was a few $100s worth.
Yeah.
And so at least I was race ready for my bike, and the couple hours before the race started, my bike showed up at the house that I was staying at.
Oh, really?
And then I was like, which was great because now I felt more comfortable in my bike.
Sure.
So, I called one of the techs that I talked to. His name is Sam down at QR. I said, hey Sam, my bike's here. I don't need yours. He's like, okay, bring it by. I'll build it for you because I always disassemble my bike. Not only did he build it, but he cleaned it up. He cleaned the brakes on it. Yeah,
it was better than it would have been anyway.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And so that was probably, they made my bike look like a Gucci model,
Yeah, right. Now, okay, so you run you run like some people, and there was a question that was put on Facebook. I hear stories of someone, and I know it's somebody that's like super competitive, that's trying to win a marathon or something like that. But you hear about them like losing bowel control. You hear about all this other bad stuff like going on with their bodies in a 26.2 mile run. 70.3 miles in an Ironman. I'm not going to I'm not going to ask about that. But like, with all those, you weren't experiencing anything like joints or some bad like.
My second race. Where was I? So I did Lake Havasu thing. I was down in Galveston, Texas. I had a huge calf strain in my left calf, like calf where I thought I actually I tore something.
Right.
Because I started pushing myself, and actually that's where I was trying to qualify for the World Championships. Once I found out at the turnaround point on the run portion, I was like, man, there's only like 4 guys ahead of me. So that's when I started pushing myself.
Yeah, because you're qualified, right.
Yeah, sure enough, that's when, it's hot, you're dehydrated, you're low on sodium, electrolytes, you name it.
So how much did you learn during all this? Like,
I'm still learning. But
yeah, right. Yeah. But, you had to learn quite a bit with all those races, like, about your sodium, your... like.
Oh, yeah, you really got to push... When you're not thirsty or hungry, you still have to eat.
Yeah, right.
You still have to drink.
Right.
If you wait to the moment, and I've always known this, we tell this to a bunch of athletes, if you wait to the moment they're thirsty, it's too late. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before,
Yeah, right.
That goes tenfold in a race. If you're going to where you think you're thirsty, you're way behind the power curve.
Right, so you should be just dealing with the science, right? Like, I know how much calories I'm burning. Yeah. I know what I got to put in.
Yeah, so like on the bike, like I know I have to at least take in close to 1,500 calories.
Right,
and that's a lot.
Right, yeah.
Like, we're thinking about it.
On a bike.
On a bike portion, because I'm going to be on that bike when I push it really hard, I could be on a bike for about 2.5 hours worth. 2 hours, maybe on the low end. But you have to think, if you're pushing hard, you're you're using all those calories. So I was like, oh man, I got to eat these gels. I got to eat these cubes. I got to eat my wafers, or I got a drink that has calories in it. I was like, okay, that's 300 calories there. That's 200 calories there. I'm at 500 calories right now. I got to be at least a minimum 1,000 calories to 1,500 calories by the time I get done running.
Now,
to my run portion.
Any sponsors with that kind of stuff either?
So I never got any sponsors. I did get support though. There's a huge difference between sponsors and support. Support meaning that Brooks was providing me with 3 pairs of shoes.
Okay.
So you got to think. I mean, those are $125 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
That's money I didn't have to buy.
Right.
That's money I didn't have to spend for my shoes. Orca was huge on giving me a wetsuit. And then some jammers to swim in. They provided me with my goggles, so that's just money I didn't have to spend right there.
Yeah, right.
QR didn't really do much for me, but they give me huge discounts.
Okay, so what would be the difference with the sponsor? Would just straight
sponsor gives you money,
pay you. Yeah,
they
right.
pay you. I mean, you're kind of an employee. So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I've never gotten. Not that I was asking for money. Every time I contact all these organizations, companies, I've never asked for a penny. I just asked them to support me in my efforts.
I'm surprised with today's outlook on the service. I mean, we have been a warring nation for a very long time now.
The longest.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I would think that we would have. It would be advantageous for a corporation to over-the-top support.
So the biggest response, and they must share this with each other. They must go to a convention, or they must all communicate with each other. It's literally verbatim, word for word, the way they would respond. They would say, I forget how it is, but they would say, funded athletes or sponsored athlete or supporter athletes are closed at this time. Please apply next year. So
just like a form letter, just like
it's an application. I'm like, well, I don't do this as a profession. I don't know about this. By the time I do want to apply for it, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I would reply with is like, well, I'm reaching out because this is like what I need. It's not what I want.
They couldn't even be bothered to read the details.
Mm-mm. No, they're like, and I would tell them, and so, and
it seems like a bad business.
It does.
Practice.
I think it falls on, the higher echelon, who's training their employees, because I'll tell you right now, if I own Garmin, which I wear Garmin, and Garmin's not very friendly either, even though I'll tell you the way it is.
Right.
But I love their watches, but they're not very supportive.
Okay.
So all I can say is that, hey, if you're working for me, if you're one of my employees, if you see a pretty cool story come about, go to your manager and say, hey, is there a way we can, at least entertain the idea? Yeah. Not just straight say no.
Right.
Right. I mean, there could be different ways of saying no, but I pretty much got a no almost 99% of the time.
Yeah, because it just seems like if you were just someone breaking a world record and...
Yeah, dribbling a basketball or something.
Yeah, whatever.
But I was raising money, and breaking the record was more of a platform. Like, if I didn't break it, that's fine. My goal was to raise money. Right,
but in that industry of the Ironman thing, there's got to be people making big money off of the wetsuits, off the shoes, the bikes, all that other stuff. You would think that you would want this, and then the extra added thing that this guy's doing all this stuff for charity. I don't know. I mean, do you ever plan to you'd be racing against yourself, I guess, if you did ever break that record, the one that you...
So I'm looking at different things to...
Because you raise a phenomenal amount of money, right?
Yeah, and I want to continue. It started off small. I really wanted to raise, I think, what was that, $1,000 per race, and all of a sudden it exploded towards the end, and which is phenomenal. It was just great. But I wanted to keep it going. It makes me feel good saying that, if I can break that $100,000 mark, that'd be great.
Right.
Just to say I did it for other people.
Yeah.
So there's a thing called the Big Seven, the Big Six World Marathons. So it's held by Abbott. Nobody's yet to do it yet. Not that it's not possible, but nobody's done it yet, which is Boston, London, Tokyo, Chicago, New York, and Berlin. So those are the big 6 hardest races to get into. I've done Chicago, Boston, and Berlin, and I got New York on the list. The only 2 I'll probably be missing is just Tokyo and London.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now I have 3. I'll have 4 under my belt, so there's 6. Nobody's done that in one season yet. Not that it's not possible to do it. Nobody's done it yet.
Right.
And for me to do it, it's a pretty cool novelty thing to do. You know, people have done all
That's
6.
It raises money, so.
Yeah, people have done it within a 3-year time span, 4-year time span, whatever. But nobody's done it in one single season yet. Now, and it's really hard because it's for like Berlin just got done. Chicago's this weekend. Okay. Right after Chicago is New York.
Oh yeah, right. So they're tight.
They're all super tight, and then you have like a 3-week break, or 4-week break. Then you have Boston. So it's all done within like 4 months.
Okay, so now all the races that you did, those were all regular. They're real races. Like there was a documentary on Netflix where a guy was trying to break I think it was an Ironman or triathlon thing, but some of the races he was doing were simulated.
Yes,
like he was
just jumping about the Iron Cowboy?
Yes.
So I broke his record.
Right. Okay.
So he had the most, at the time he had the most 70.3 Ironmans, official Ironmans.
Yeah.
So I broke his. So all of mine are official races. They're not just the distance. I think there's one lady who said she did 100 of them. I'm sorry, one, whatever it was, in 100 days.
Yeah.
One for 100 days or 100 days straight. But the thing is, she was running in her backyard. She was running treadmill. She did an elliptical, whatever, or he or she. But these are actual races that I've done, which are official ones. So when I had to submit to Guinness, I had to have a photo from the beginning of the race, in the water, coming out the water, getting on the bike, coming out of the bike, going on the run, everything. And then I had a race official. I had to have 2 statements from somebody nobody I knew. So administrative wise, it sucked.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
I was like, I don't have to come. Hey, I don't know you, but you saw me finish.
Besides the fact I do the 70.3 miles, I need all of this other paperwork
and video
to justify. Wow.
And some people that do this, they have a crew following them. I don't have no damn crew. I was traveling alone.
Right, because I mean, the Iron Cowboy one that I saw, he was
an RV and
and he was doing his part of his deal was to do one in each
50 and 50.
50 and 50, right. Which was, it was a gimmick, but it sounds to me like
That's the hard.
Right. You need a gimmick better because he was obviously raising money and everything else, and then you get a documentary made about it and everything else. I would think that the more publicity you could get, I mean, the stuff I saw on social media, I would share it when I saw it and stuff, and, hopefully somebody else would donate, but it seems like what you did was a bigger feat than some of these gimmicky kind of thing. Like running in your backyard is not.
Or having a crew. I mean, there were people. I saw the documentary. There's people like lined up to give them massages.
Yeah.
I was like, hell, I'm paying for massages at Massage Envy. I was like, and that's costing me money.
Right.
And I have to go there.
Yeah.
Nobody's not knocking on my door. Hey, can I give you a massage?
I don't think there was a call. He was just doing it to do it. Like there was no cause.
Well, he was a pro, I believe. So
okay.
At the time, and me, when I broke the record, I only had the season and a half ahead of me. Like I was still new at it.
Yeah, so right.
I was literally sitting on the couch with Kelly. She was reading one of her. She might have been grading. I think she was doing something, and I was reading the USATU, USA Triathlon, because when you sign up for a card, you get these free magazines, and I saw different articles of reasons why people were raising money, and then I saw one for the most 70.3s, and I was like, this guy only has 23. I was like, start counting. I was like, that's totally doable. I can totally do that. Right. And I was like, you know what? Prior to that, I was like, you know what? My next race, I'm going to raise money. But I didn't think that I was going to raise money to the degree that I've done it today.
Sure.
So I was just going to raise money for one race because the one I did in Chicago, the Chicago Triathlon, I raised money for St. Jude's. So that's what kind of got the ball started with fundraising.
All right.
So St. Jude, it all started with St. Jude's, and then I started raising money for others, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to raise money for the Semper Fund, and then I want to continue it with other organizations, and I try to find an organization that has a really low overhead. So it's tough to find some.
That's a smart thing to do because some of them there's a guy making $100,000 a year just to run.
And that's ridiculous. Right. I mean, it's like then it's not really a nonprofit.
Yeah, that's something that people don't understand. You can now, if you're doing good work and it takes a lot of work, I understand a guy needs to make money to do that. If the end result is, $1 million got put towards breast cancer, but you made, $50,000 doing it, well, if you didn't pay yourself the $50,000, would that $1 million exist?
Yeah.
So there's a necessary evil in that situation.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Like, and I'm not trying to talk crap, but I'll talk crap like I'm so against the Wounded Warrior Project.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm totally against it.
Now, why? Because people should hear this.
Well, just recently, sort of recently, a few years ago, Wounded Warrior. Well, first off, we heard a lot of stories about the Wounded Warrior Project suing other veteran organizations or just other organizations that had the word warrior in it, wounded in it, and they're actually using lawyers to go make these companies go bankrupt, other nonprofits.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
There was an organization, I think it was called Wounded Warriors, not Wounded Warrior Project. They were around way before the Wounded Warrior Project was around. And just because they didn't have an LLC or anything else like that, they were a nonprofit. Wounded Warrior Project shut them down.
Yeah, they're trying to break their competition, which is crazy because you're competing towards the same goal. You're on the same team.
Mm-hmm. And then that same year, there was
unless you're profiting.
And they were.
Right.
There was a whistleblower that finally got fed up, and they're like, hey, just so you know, they rented an island and they took all the staff there on a private helicopter, for golf, these exotic resorts and stuff like that, and they took pictures, videos, and they submitted it, and then of course that's when Wounded Warrior Project went from this big to this big so fast. That's why I'm
in the end,
right
the
now.
guy that rightfully so, it sounds like. In the end, the guy who suffers is the guy who's the actual wounded warrior who's not going to get what he needs. I did I did lobbying, which sounds like a terrible word, but I went to Washington with a consumer advocacy group. So it was like not paid lobbying. We went for a full day and we sat in meetings where they explained about this bill that they had, and the bill was getting handicap equipment funded for everyone. For my partner in crime for the whole week, 5 days that we were there with the meetings, was a guy that in Iraq, he lost his one arm, part of his left hand, and both his legs. And he was kind of burned up a little bit too. But and we went in, so we went to the seminar, and they explained the bill that we were supposed to be promoting. Mm-hmm. And then we just made appointments with our senators, our representatives, and stuff like that, because they don't know shit. They don't know anything.
I believe you.
Like, it's like talking to my aunt about, fishing. She has no fucking
or construction.
Right,
Yeah.
Nothing. But so that's the structure of our government. We go in there and we talk to these people. So we went and did that the entire time. And, there was a lot of guys that were in this guy's situation. He goes, I get my stuff pretty fast, but not as fast as I could, I could use the equipment faster. Where some guys are laid up for 3 months waiting for the right equipment to come in so they can start getting around. You know what I mean? He's like, because he's got a prosthesis, he's got a I think he's got a set of legs that he can use, but he feels way more comfortable in the power wheelchair than he does. Yeah. And he had to wait for the chair, so it was tough for him. Where the Wounded Warrior thing helps out with stuff like that, or it's supposed to, right?
Yeah, Semper Fi Fund. They just don't give money or assistance. That they don't just really give money. If there's something that you need, like let's just say a wheelchair, or mattress, whatever it is, something to help your life a little bit better,
Yeah.
The turnaround time is very fast. So, and if they know that the need is actually a need, most of the time, whatever is that you need, you'll have it within less than 24 hours.
Yeah, wow.
Which is crazy. They're not having to go lobby at a state level.
I'll tell you what, being a guy that was injured, so like there's a certain amount of depression that goes on because your life's ever altered, it's changed, right? And these guys that got injured in a combat situation, they're a noble cause, and then their life is going to be changed forever. But as a guy, you lose your vanity. It's like, I don't look like I used to look. Can't do what I used to do. You also like
the pride thing.
Yeah. I was out at a card tournament like a couple of months after I got home from the hospital, and I lost 40 pounds. I went from 195 to 158 or something like that when I came home, and we were playing Hold'em in a tournament, and this guy was like kind of giving me some grief, and my other buddy that was there looked at him and he goes, "You giving him a hell, huh?" And he goes, yeah. And he goes, "That's funny." And he goes, "Why?" He goes, "Because he's a shit bigger than you." And now he's going, this was my life now. Now I got to listen to this guy who I would have ripped him to pieces before.
Yeah.
Just be a wise ass, smart mouth, and everything else. So that's like my new life. If I was also in a situation where I didn't have good friends, I couldn't get out, I couldn't get equipment,
you would be stuck in the house.
Oh man, the depression would be worse than than you already got to deal with some that you got to suck it up, Buttercup, and get tougher. But getting, if the least you could do is get these guys equipment or get these guys help or get these guys some financial aid, that's great. So I mean, is the Semper Fi Fund growing? You were saying it's getting bigger now still.
Yeah, they're continuing to grow. I mean, they'll assist anywhere from, on the educational side of it. So if they know you're going to school, I know a lot of us here in Illinois, we're really lucky. I mean, we have the IVG, which is the Illinois Veterans Grant, and then of course you have your GI Bill or the post 9/11. If you're from a state like, I think even Indiana or Wisconsin, you just have your GI. You just have your GI Bill or the post 9/11, which either or.
Okay.
I mean, that money runs out fast when you're going to school. So if there's something that you need, books, maybe an iPad or a laptop, and they know it's going towards school, and of course they vet it and they check it out.
Right.
They'll assist you that way. Well, tell you what, if you didn't have to spend $1,000 on a laptop, that's going to go far for a college student.
Sure.
So it's not just that. So like my thing that I call it recovery through recreation and sport. So whether you're recovering from a physical injury, a mental injury, depression, anxiety, you name it, the whole spectrum. It's a lot better going outside with a fish, with a rod, or if you're going hiking, or whatever it is, than sitting inside the house playing video games or watching a movie or watching a whole series of Netflix, which I still do. I still watch TV. I sit inside, but at least I'm riding my bike when I do it now.
Right.
So at least I got my bike in front of the TV, and I really do.
Now, how do they deal with a lot of the things that the guys come home with are not physical injuries that you can see. There's
the invisible injuries, which is
right.
the PTSD, the TBI. I mean, like one thing you probably don't know is one of my injuries was actually the back of my head. It took shrapnel on the back of my head.
Okay.
So I mean, I have TBI as well. So but I mean, I try not to let it hinder me. I mean, I'm very forgetful, but sometimes I use the excuse that you play stupid. Just to pretend you're observing stuff like that. I'm just plain stupid. No, really, I'm stupid. No.
So now when you're saying that, what do you do? Do you write stuff down to try and make sure do you keep better notes now because of the?
So that's probably a really good outlet. I do write down a lot of notes on my phone and the notepad part. Yeah. But no, I just. Sometimes I try to wing it, and I've got a great support system. Kelly's great with always reminding me, and she's the one that created my calendar on our phone. I know there's these apps that you can create, so it's a shared calendar that we have.
Yeah, it's like a Google Calendar.
Yeah, she reminds me, good luck at your the podcast this morning. Like, oh shit, I do have that.
Yeah. Well, I use the Google Calendar, and everything I have. Every computer I got hooked up to that, my tablet. So yeah, I mean, I'm in the shower this morning, and boop, Mike Mendoza comes up on my tablet. That you're going to be here. I mean,
it's just not that we all have such busy lives. It's not that we're forgetful. It's just we have a lot going on.
Oh yeah,
I mean, everybody does. Students nowadays compare. I'm sure your kids are much more busy than you were when you're in high school.
Absolutely.
That's
the
just
amount of productivity that we get done nowadays compared to 20 years ago is insane.
Yep, you're right.
Right. So I mean. And you would think that with these charities, that bugs me. That really bugs me. That.
Yeah, if you go on their website, the overhead is that for every $1 that you donate, I think it's actually down now to, was it 97 cents goes to the veteran.
Wow, that's amazing.
For every $1 that you donate.
3% is all there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you go on the website, I mean, and it's all open books. You see these organizations that say, you have to request for the books or whatever it is. Everything's open, man. And that's why I'm a big supporter with them. They're black and white. There's no gray.
I've heard people say things, and they say them out loud. I'm like, I can't believe you said that out loud. That they want to start a non-for-profit because they're looking to make some income. And I'm like,
well, that's the wrong reason.
Right, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, and this stuff, I grew up with, dad that was a Vietnam veteran, and then I've talked about it before on the podcast. Like the Rambo movie was a movie that was made because we weren't treating the vets very well after Vietnam when they came back, right? Like they were.
Well, they drew first blood. No.
Right. But I mean, they were spit on. They were called baby killer, all that other stuff.
Yep.
And now, like, I'm so glad that the pendulum has swung the other way, and I hope it just swings that way and just stays that way. That it seems like the general consensus with people is that we've got to do everything we can.
Well, sort of. I mean, I'll put it this way: civilians still got to keep their head on a swivel, like we say we keep our head on a swivel. I mean, there's dirtbag veterans out there, man, that are trying to take advantage of organizations, take advantage of people that are very kind. I mean, those are the ones that piss me off as well. Like, hey, I've had people talk to me on the side. Hey, you think the Semper Fi Fund can, pay my rent, or you think they can, buy me a bike, or you think they can? I was like, who the fuck you think you're talking to? I was like, I actually
That's
know
the
them.
Wrong guy,
I was
right,
like, I'm not just fundraising for them, but I'm very good friends with a lot of them, a lot of the staff members. And I was like, just so you know, and I don't know your name, I'm gonna let them know, no assistance should go to you because you're looking to take advantage of something.
Right. Now, okay, so I had 2 podcasts that I did with a daughter of a guy who was exposed heavily to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and he had a lot of neurological issues, like real bad, till he just passed away here at the Mantino Veterans Hospital or home. And he worked his entire life after he got back from Vietnam at Hines, the VA hospital. Yep. And
that's the hospital I go to.
Okay. They said that they're a big part of what they deal with is people who never saw combat, who are just claiming disability.
Yep, you see those, and those are the ones they call out. I love calling those guys out.
Right. No, guys like you you'll call out somebody. My favorite people on the planet are like, if I'm wearing a stupid fucking shirt, I'll be like, that's a stupid fucking shirt. And I like that because I feel like someone's being honest then all the time. They don't give a shit whether they hurt my fucking feelings or not. Not that that sense of a guy to begin with. But I'd much rather surround myself with people that were straight to the point of like, I'm straight to the point where I offend people all the time, where it's like they're mad at me because I said something. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just telling you exactly how I see it. You can either adjust your behavior to suit it or don't be around me because that's how it's going to be. But I think that those people that are claiming, whether it's, there was like a syndrome that they were claiming that
post-traumatic syndrome. PTSD?
Well, not that one. No, the one with the oil wells that they were claiming health problems from the oil wells being burned in Desert Storm.
Yeah, they're trying to do that now. Something about the air quality and I was like, dude, I was around that probably 30 times more than you were. You had the one deployment. Like I was going there even after I got out, and I was like, my lungs are just fine. I just ran a marathon.
I think that, but how do you change that culture of? I think inside that they feel like it's okay because they served, that they can like make these claims because it's just like free money or something like that.
I'm thinking that maybe, and this is me just spitballing it.
Yeah.
They're kind of wishing that they probably saw something and they feel like there's a void there that they got to fill.
They got like a survivor's guilt sort of a thing.
But they didn't. But there's nothing that they survived from. I mean, there's nothing that they got away from.
Yeah.
You see those guys that tell these war stories, and I'm like, all right, here we go again, man. I was like, I'll talk about what I did. I don't care if you ask me, but I don't ever really bring it up, ever really, Just people say, hey, I saw you're in the History Channel. Hey, I saw this and this. I'm like, yeah, what do you want to know? And I love talking about the tactical side of stuff, like, the shooting when I'm instructing, a lot of, the period instructions when I do a lot of, shoot courses and stuff like that. I love talking, the education side of it, the tactical side of it, the operational side of it. I'll talk that all day long. I won't talk about like, hey man, it's, and this is actually true. I remember when we went into a village that just got destroyed by us fighting. Some of the terrorists. This lady gave me a baby, and the back of her head, the baby's head just came off. Like, I mean, that's a true story. But you won't hear me say I'm not starting a conversation off that. It's like, I remember I saw this baby, like the baby's eyes were blinking at me like it was all okay. It was, it was alive.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the hell? It's like, I mean, that still sticks to me to this day.
Yeah.
And that was before I had kids.
Right.
And then I remember when Seth was born, and I wasn't around when he was born. I was gone. When I finally came home, he was still little. and I was able to hold him. I was like, I really thought about that baby.
Yeah,
You know, like the
right.
skull coming off the back of your head, and you can see it, and it's the skull's coming off. You know, it's dry blood. It's all you can see. There's like flies and maggots around it, and of course medevac's coming in. And you're like, this baby's like not even feeling the pain.
Right. How lucky we are to be born here and not born someone there. Right?
Yeah, and then but there's people that talk about like, I remember this. I was like, did I ask you about that? You know, just like, let's talk about some of the courses you went to. Like, to me, that's my fun talk, is like going to some of these courses, you know, some of the shoot courses they go to, or some of the training environments we've been in. So.
Right. No, I mean, and, you know, I would think that the it had to be a very fulfilling life to, how many countries have you been to?
I don't know. I have to sit down and write
them
down.
Never, too many.
Yeah, too many. I have to write them down.
Right. So, I mean, and a lot of that was like, you know, I'm sure that there's a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge that you've learned. I mean, you know, if you wanted somebody that wanted to make decisions under duress, you're a guy that's made a lot of decisions under duress.
Yeah, we call it shoot, move, communicate, you know, just you don't just sit there and dwell on it. You know, you got to, when we call it, you know, make decisions under duress, like shoot, move, communicate, you know. That's one of the sayings that we have. But yeah, I mean, the only regrets I have is traveling the world is not learning more languages. I mean, I'll say I've probably, like, in the Middle East, I've probably spent more than 8 years, right, coming and going.
Yeah.
And I only know phrases. You know, I mean, you would think after 8 years you should probably learn.
How many dialects, though? I mean, that'd be pretty hard.
Well, in the Middle East, like, I mean, it's pretty much just Arabic. But once you head over to, like, Afghanistan, there's different dialects there. But, like, I mean, whether you go to Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Dubai, you name it, Qatar, you know, that's all Arabic there.
Sure.
So, but it's not like here in the United States, you could say we have different dialects too. The Midwest, then you go down to Louisiana.
Southern,
you can't even talk to people from Louisiana.
Right. Someone in Boston's going to the bar a beer for 99 cents.
Right. So.
Right.
But you would think after 8 years, that's one of the things I do regret is like probably not learning more Arabic.
Sure.
So, and that's one of the things my kids are learning are, you know, multiple languages. I mean, we have girls from China that live with us, so they started learning some Chinese phrases. Not really Mandarin, because Mandarin is different than Chinese. I learned that.
Yeah, right.
I didn't really. I thought Mandarin was Chinese.
Yeah,
it's really not.
Sure.
But our kids are learning Spanish and phrases in Chinese. So
right. Now, but you speak Spanish, right?
I do. Yeah. Okay. So we speak it in the house.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, I think you had told me that like years and years ago. So yeah, but the culture of, you know, of getting money for something that, you know, you're not like, I wish those people would understand that you're essentially, there's only money's finite. You're taking it away from somebody who needs it, right? Who needs it bad. And, you know, everyone's got their stresses of having to, you know, every day you get up, you're like, oh, you know, I got, you know, kids college, I got, you know, food on the table, all sorts of stuff. I get that.
First world problems, right?
Right. Yeah, right. But when you're somebody who was, you know, had their arm and a leg blown off somewhere else, man, those kind of worries should be something that you could probably pull off the table for them if there wasn't some abuse going on with the funding to begin with from people who don't need it. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. I mean, I have my really good buddy of mine, Eddie. I mean, I saw him get his arms blown off by an RPG. I remember I already had come back from another deployment. He was already still going through, you know, rehabilitation for his prosthetics. He doesn't have any arms. I met up with him in Oakland. He's from Chicago, so we've seen some families in Oakland area, and we met up at a bar. And man, we got so blitz drunk. I mean, I spent the night at his aunt's house.
Yeah.
With him, but I remember this was the first time I saw him. In a couple of years, because he was still going through rehab and still doing some stuff, and he's like, hey, I'm in town. I was like, I'm in town. So we linked up, and he was riding. I mean, he has one on one side, he has a hook, you know, that opens up and down like a claw.
Sure.
He just opens it with his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then the other side, he just keeps it bare. He doesn't like to wear anything. And he went to go sign his check, like the bar tab, and he has better penmanship than I do. And I'm not kidding you.
Right.
But that's just, he became accustomed to the lifestyle of not ever having any arms. Mm-hmm. And to him, it's like you just said, you're having the better life than you had, you know, after being in a chair from being injured.
No, there's all kinds of days where I wish I wasn't. Like, don't get me wrong. But I'm positive I would have made other choices. I was working 80 hours a week with my construction company, and my kids were little tiny guys. There's no chance that I am putting as much time into my son's wrestling, to the
Who knows
school.
where you'd be right now?
No, I don't know what they would be, who they would be. I mean, I know there's things that they missed out on. Like, I miss hunting terribly. Oh, my God.
Well, you still can.
I know. I tried a couple times. It's like kissing my sister. It's just not the same.
What do you mean? If you give me an example.
Okay, so like I was a really serious muskie fisherman. That was my thing, right? Like, I mean, I was like serious about it. Like, I had books. I was, there's a couple like professional muskie guys and stuff like that I really, spent a lot of time talking with, and like, just figuring out, like, I wanted to be successful at it, and I was super serious at it. When I got injured and stuff like that, I've taken my son's muskie fishing. People are like, well, why don't you? And I'm like, because I could never do it on the level that it needs to be done at.
You tasted something, you're never going to have that taste of that.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not even sad about that. I miss it. Don't get me wrong. I love to do what I did. But I just channel that into, I'm teaching my sons how to muskie fish, and I kind of like live vicariously, I guess, through them with what they're doing, and then they catch the muskies now. So I bought the boat. I'm in the pontoon boat, and I drive the pontoon boat around. They muskie fish, and I kind of coach them, like, okay, figure eight, at the boat and everything else they were doing. I'm perfectly fine with it, but when someone's like, well, like they think that I should try and do everything I can to get back to muskie fishing, I'm like, I'm never going to be as free as I was. And the hunting thing, I had some buddies that took me out deer hunting and stuff like that. I wish that the facilities were better. Like, we went out to the tall grass, the Arsenal area to hunt, and
south of Joliet.
Right, south of Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah, out there, and it's a big place. There's lots of deer running around, but all of the accessible blinds, they're a joke. They're like they're a park bench sitting in the, like, they're not.
And the deer aren't going to come.
There's no deer, right. I sat out there like 5 times. I watched a couple of rabbits play grab ass. Nothing happened. Nothing was going to happen. I'm not in a spot that's scouted out. I'm not, I can't get into a tree stand. So like I just look at things like, all right, those aren't things I'm going to be able to do, and those are things that my sons would have missed out on. Like, if I would have never gotten injured, they would have been better at fishing, better at hunting, because I was serious about those things. I have been hunting since I was 6 years old.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I have a buddy. His name's Brian Swift. Ever heard of him?
No.
He has he's here. He lives in Mokina. We're good friends with him. It's called Swift Outdoor Adventures.
Okay.
So he's a quad.
Okay.
They call him the Quad Father.
There you go.
So yeah. So he's big into hunting and being big into outdoors. And that's one of his biggest gripes, was that same thing that you said, he can't go somewhere and hunt and like just the way
Sure.
and enjoy it. So I have a place down in Wilmington. I mean, I made a spot just for him. He literally it could be van accessible, and he can also get out of the van if he wants to. And it basically rolls right into this one blind. Every time he went out there, he sees deer all the time. He always misses them. So
hey, as long as you're seeing them, right? No,
yeah.
that's fine.
So he takes his son out there. So he's teaching his son how to hunt. So if you need to go out there, man, I mean, I'm gone. So I think I probably want to go hunt there. I bought that property for Seth and Carly, and for us.
Yeah.
And then, but last year we went out in a handful of times. The year before we went out a lot. But he's the only one that's allowed to go on there right now. So if you need to go out there with your son, go ahead. I don't care. I mean, you can.
I appreciate it. Now, some of the other stuff that holds you back too is, I was signed out of workman's comp like 2 months before my injury. So there was no settlement. Nothing ever happened that way. I was pretty much on my own.
Wait, you didn't have a workman's comp when you got injured?
Yeah, right. Well, so I don't want to get.
Yeah, that's all right.
I didn't sign me out. I put somebody else in charge of the insurance aspect, and
it lapsed.
Her mother told her we were spending too much money on insurance to take the guy making the most amount of money off of the comp, make him a salesman. So I was made a salesman, unbeknownst to me. That day I was up on a scaffold, broke my neck, and my insurance guy kind of forgot about it too, and was like, "Oh, you're covered. Don't worry, everything's gonna be great." And no, I had $1.2 million of debt when I came out of rehab.
And that's where the civilians also hurt, like yourself. Whereas we see that in the military. Yeah, you may get patched up, but there's that you're talking about, and there's people that take advantage of it. And those are the ones I love to call out. And you can tell, you can call, you can see a storyteller coming from a mile away.
Right. I guess I have the same sort of thing when I see, I don't necessarily want a handicap parking spot. I don't. I'd rather not be in that spot. Mm-hmm. But I have a van with a lift on the side, so I need that. I wish they would put some of those spots at the back of the parking lot. I'd park there every time. I could care less the distance. I'm going to Costco. Yeah. It's a fucking gymnasium inside there. I got to walk around. Why do I need to be next to the front door?
Yeah.
I'd park out there. But
well, the football over at Central, I ever go to actually when I was over there at Lincoln with you, people park in a handicap spot and in the lines where you're supposed to stay clear of it. Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple times where you probably even rolled up and there's a car there that's not supposed to be there. Oh, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And then I watch people just jump in the car and leave. And I'm like, you're just abusing this situation. It totally sucks. Whenever I see anybody with the placards that they're abusing and stuff like that, now I'm jaded with that stuff. I'm like, you know what? I don't need it, but I'm sure there's some guy who... if I was a guy who had both arms blown off and I was in a chair somehow, well, I probably do need that really close spot, and now you're in.
And it's mindset too, man. Like for you, parking in the back is like, hell, man, it's an extra workout for me.
Yeah,
too.
Right. Well, I'll do. I haven't been out for a while, but I've done 10 miles in the wheelchair. Just pushing.
Well, you used to do it over in Indiana with me.
Going round and round and round. Right. So I still look at my life like I'm going to do whatever I can from wherever I at. I'm a real estate broker. I do general contracting. I'm doing the podcast. I stay super busy. I'm coaching, all that stuff. But some of that's just inherently in me. Like, I don't let shit get to me. I just keep moving forward. Other people got more problems. And if you could be injured just in a construction aspect where you have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and you can never be the same again because of that, that injury.
Sometimes you can't control that. I've seen guys that just have you think that they have Tourette's or that Asperger's or something. Why that guy's such an asshole? It's like, no, he's not an asshole. He's acting like one. Right. You should still hold him accountable too, though. People who are around him, like, hey man, that's your dad or that's your son or whatever. I was like, you need to start setting them straight. So I do hold accountability to those around them. So
right. Well, back to your story. I hope that seeing what you've done, and you obviously got up off the couch because that's a huge accomplishment. I hope that more people step up and, make those sort of... if one guy can just... You're sitting on the couch with Kelly and you decide, hey, I could break that record.
Oh, yeah.
And you go do it.
I encourage.
And you raise almost $100,000. Boy, there's a million records out there, guys. You could break any record.
Or just go do one race. I know guys that are now doing Ironman or triathlons because they got a little bit motivated, just to go do it. Right. And I got veteran friends that are now racing on with what you would call Team Semper, wearing the same singlet, or that are now doing Ironmans or triathlons, or they're running marathons, who weren't doing it the years before. And to tell you the truth, I've only been doing this 4 years now.
Yeah.
So I'm not that seasoned into it. So if
you're more seasoned than most guys that are doing it 4 years. That's a lot of races, man.
Well, what I'm saying is it's not like it didn't take me 10 years to do it.
Yeah.
So if somebody can get off the couch and get out there and just hey, I'm gonna do my first 5K. At least it motivated them.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters.
Now, so a lot of people don't understand too. It's all broken up into classes and age groups and male, female, all that stuff.
Yeah, because everybody has to have a trophy these days.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you got the brand new wrestling club Elevate that's hitting the IKWF this year.
It's actually the same club, same coaches, just a different name.
So it was Contenders, and now it's...
So Contenders, I think they're still around, who was ran by, I'm not trying to say anything bad, was ran by Phil Hayes.
Yeah.
Luke Coleman took the reins of it and is doing a phenomenal job. What used to cost us $350 to be part of the club, and now only costing us $150. That's going to draw more kids in just for those families that are financially strapped.
Right.
That covers your card and everything. No, I'm not trying to promote it or
anything.
But
promote it. Shit. Yeah.
Well, I kind of am, but we have all the same kids, all the same coaches.
Right.
The administrative side of it. Everything's getting taken care of pretty much like picture days, tournaments, you name it. I mean, whereas before, like, when is picture day? You know, I'm not trying to talk crap. Like, are we gonna have a schedule for this year? Do we have the room locked down for this week? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
stuff that we shouldn't have to worry about.
Sure, the clerical stuff. Yeah, right.
Well, I'm sorry, but if you're in management role, I mean, take responsibility.
Right,
and
get it done.
So Luke, I mean, he's a teacher. He wrestled with Siebert down at U of I believe. And then he's that type A person, that go-getter, and he's just knocking everything out of the park right now, just making everybody, you know, happy.
Sure.
And he's very supportive with some of the kids that are in off season with football, lacrosse, baseball.
Yeah.
Stuff that you would see, you know, some of the leadership that you would want them to see the leadership do, and he's taking the reins. Actually, you know Barham?
I don't.
He was with us at
really?
Lincoln Way, yeah. Yeah, Barham was with us, but anyways, he's with us.
If I saw him, I'd probably recognize him. But
okay. Anyways, he's helping to run it too. I'm not running anything, so I'm kind of happy because I don't have any time for anything. But they do, you know, we do talk a lot, and so Elevate, it's still the same club, same coaches, just new name.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that. You know that it's, you know, how are you guys' numbers? I mean, your first year.
I think we're sitting just. We're close to 60 kids.
Oh, good. That's bigger than Contenders was, right? Contenders was smaller than that.
Contenders, we had about 50-something.
Yeah.
So we absorbed a few more. We lost a couple kids from graduating, I think just 2 kids.
Right.
So we absorbed a couple kids. So yeah, I think the Contenders are still around. I don't know what their numbers look like, though.
Yeah. Right. No. And, you know, like, I'm obviously big, you know, proponent of the youth wrestling. I think everybody should do that. So, I mean, but you had to probably learn a lot through all of the races that you did as far as, like, how you would train, say, your son for cardio and stuff like that, and just the diet stuff. I mean, you said you were pounding down calories to keep, you know, the training going on. I was telling my sons, I go, hey, old people and fat people diet and exercise. You guys eat and train. That's what you do. You don't.
Well, everybody thinks diet means to lose weight. No, a diet is actually just a plan to either get stronger, faster. You know, with nutrition, that is.
Yeah.
So when someone says I'm on a diet, everybody thinks, you know, you think about when I say, hey, I'm on a diet, what do you think of? I'm losing weight. And, you know, if I could say I'm on a diet, no, I'm actually trying to get bigger. I'm trying to, you know, improve something.
Sure.
That's what diet really means.
Right.
But when it comes to training, you know, not just with Seth, but with some others, you know, when you think about it, you know, it's, you know, staying consistent with everything. Everybody thinks that, well, wrestling season's coming up, football season's coming up, baseball season's, I'm going to start working out. Well, why weren't you working out previously? I mean, we all have muscle memory.
Yep.
You know, it's all being, you know, it's conditioning. You shouldn't have to work out because the season's coming up. Sure. It's our lifestyle habit to always be moving. Right. So,
well, I always tell my boys, I go, it's like grains of sand in it's like a sieve situation. You got to keep putting sand in there because every time you're dormant, the sand's coming out.
Yep,
so
you're correct.
Keep going. And I mean, you know, I try and my boys, it's like, I'm telling you what, you're gonna love high school wrestling. It's so.
Well, I actually since I've known you, I've always been going to high school matches.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like being a parent, not dealing with youth anymore.
Oh.
I went back to coaching last year, and it's a nightmare. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe how bad this is. High school wrestling is like everyone's so much more laid back, and it's like it's just so much quicker. It's It seems to be better organized.
Yeah, you're not there 12 hours.
No, right. So I saw in the youth stuff that they're starting to do split sessions, which is awesome. Like they're doing for tournaments. Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple tournaments where they're going to run like 4-year-olds to 10-year-olds.
You're talking about local tournaments?
Yeah, just local tournaments. Okay. They'll run 40-year-olds, 10-year-olds in the morning.
Well, you think about Elias has been doing that.
Right. Somebody's been doing it, but it's got to catch on because it's a terrible thing to have to spend 10 hours in a gymnasium.
Without doubt, yeah.
Right, on a Sunday where you could spend 4 hours in 2 sessions. Now, if you're a coach, you're going to be there all day anyway.
Yeah.
But the retention in the sport, I mean, wrestling's hard. You know, it
is. Carly hates my daughter. Carly, she's like, I don't want to go to a tournament. I'm going to be here all day. I mean, I don't blame her.
No,
it's true. That's not a lie.
Right.
But no, Elias out of Bolingbrook, I mean, if you remember when Seth was just even a Bantam, he always ran a great tournament. He's like, hey, the little kids are going to go at this hour. So, yeah, he's always been doing the split sessions.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't talked to him forever, but I'm just telling you what I do know.
Right. No, that's good. All All right. So otherwise, I'm trying to think of what else. I know I had some more questions as far as the. So now, when you do have something coming up, said you were thinking about maybe doing some other kind of thing for like another record, or
Yeah, so it's probably even setting a record because nobody's done the Big Six in one season yet.
Right.
So it would be making a new standard, I guess.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it yet. So when I looked it up, nobody's done all 6 in one season. So, and it's really hard to do that.
Because they're so tight together,
they're
right?
super tight together, and I'm used to it. I can race weekend after weekend after weekend.
Yeah.
I can still do it now. I just recently, last year, I did the full Ironman down in Chattanooga. So that's 146 miles. So
Okay.
I did that one. And 6 days later, I did the Chicago Marathon.
Oh, wow.
So I actually felt better doing the Chicago Marathon. I think I ran 3 hours and 16 minutes. So, that's cooking. It's pretty fast for after doing an Ironman.
Right.
So,
okay, so yeah, for the people that don't know this stuff, I would encourage people to get off the couch and go do a half marathon, just whatever you got to do to build up to it. But everything has its classes. Like Seth was running some, what was the biggest one he ran? Did he run a full marathon?
So no, he didn't. He ran a half marathon, and I won't allow him to do that anymore. It was just a check in the box.
Yeah.
So,
it's hard, yeah, for little
it's
guys.
not just for little guys, even for anybody who's 18 and under.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would say even 20.
Right.
It's a lot of stress on the body. So we did it, and we just looked at it as a long workout. So,
Right.
but yeah, there are categories of, I think.
Yeah. What are the adult categories? So someone know.
Adult categories. For running for marathons, it's usually a 5-age split difference. So
Okay.
So every 5 years after 18 years old, I think.
Okay.
For Ironmans, it's every 3 or 4 years split difference.
Okay.
I think. I'm not
So
sure.
there's a lot of, you were kind of hinting on the trophy. Everyone gets a trophy.
Everybody gets trophy.
Right.
Well, it's actually hard to win your age group.
Right. Win your age group. And I don't know how you feel about it, and I'll ask, because, you've been around the wrestling stuff a long time. I see these people posting stuff that don't do anything athletic as it is. They don't have kids in sports the way that we do. The participation trophy thing. Like, I don't think a 12-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid needs a participation trophy. I think it's a complete waste of time. But
Waste of money.
waste of money too.
Yeah.
I think that a kid that is 4, 5, or 6 who's just getting into a sport, especially wrestling is, I almost wish sometimes they wouldn't let them start till they were 8 or 9, just because if you're a good athlete, if you're a hard worker and everything else, but you don't find wrestling until you're 10 or 11, it's very difficult to stay in that sport, because the kid that started when he was 5.
If you're only doing the one sport, that's terrible. It's opinion based. Like I said, opinions
I won't
don't
hear
mean
it. Right.
It's
That's what
opinion.
I'm
It's not
asking
right.
for.
It's not right or wrong. But I really believe that you shouldn't be doing a single sport. Especially not until you're in high school at least.
Right.
But
Right.
do football, do baseball, do cross country, do track, hell, do tennis,
Yep,
golf. I don't care what it is.
My boys played soccer. They played Little League baseball.
Yeah.
They played football.
But then again, that's an
freshman year.
opinion. Someone might say you're wrong, Mike.
I agree. I think people are so caught up in winning, which I don't think that
It'll come eventually.
right. That winning should be a byproduct of what you're doing, all the work, and then work ethic should be what you're really getting out of everything, not the winning part. But so my take on participation trophies is, if it was from 6 years old and under, I would be cool with every kid getting a medal, even if it's a 4th place one, just because that 5, 6-year-old kid, they don't remember any of that shit when they just remember it felt like a good time because I got the medal and stuff like that. So I think there's a time and a place for a air quote participation trophy. The little tiny guys, it's like a 4-man round robin, and then they hand out 4 medals. Essentially, the 4th place kid got a medal for winning nothing, right, and everything else.
That 4th place kid probably tried so hard though.
Well, that's my take on it. My take on it is this: you deserve that medal because you're here, not playing Nintendo or whatever in the basement.
At that age, correct.
Right. So here you are, and what we really want you to do is come back and keep coming back so you get better, and then you don't get the 4th place, because I think when you're 8, 9, 10, you should only get top 3 or whatever, they should get medals. Then you got something to strive for. But I'm all for, and I think the problem is it's always a headline, participation trophies. Yeah, if you're 18 years old, there should be nobody getting a fucking participation trophy.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've been to quite a few of them. But these national tournaments, there are no participation trophies.
Oh no,
there's
no.
I mean,
right.
it's you get what you earn.
Yes,
So,
right, for sure. No, and well, and that's the other one too. I don't know what your feelings are. I know Seth's been on the national level for a very long time and very, very successful. But I see some of these parents that are dragging their kids across the country, flying them on planes. The kid's a solid wrestler. He's mediocre maybe, and you're dragging him to get his head hammered in at these tournaments. And I always look at him like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
This is not his place. Like,
trust me, I see that more and more. Not because they're bringing it up, but I'm kind of like, man, this kid doesn't. You can tell he's here because he's here. You know?
Right.
And someone says, hey, how are you doing? I'm here.
Yeah,
I got your answer there.
I think wrestling is the greatest sport on the planet. I wish they would figure out a way to have better retention. Like, it bothers me that people.
Well, it's a tough sport, man. I mean, trying to figure out how to keep somebody, how to retain somebody in a sport. It's not just wrestling. It's in a lot of things. I mean, you got to think the retention rate, even in baseballs, is they're losing those kids.
Those kids for sure.
I remember Seth just quit baseball about a year ago, and they wanted him to play. I don't know how many games over the summer. I'm like, when are we going to go fishing? When are we going to go camping? When are we going to do our family trip?
Right.
Can you do the Memorial Baseball tournament? I was like, no, we're going to be doing family stuff. Or can you do the July 4th tournament? Whatever it is.
Yeah, I wish there were more hours or more days in the week because there's not the time for that stuff.
So that's the good part about wrestling is that you can choose your schedule. Mm-hmm. When it comes to even, I'm talking about local tournaments too. Like, you don't have to go to all these. Whereas Carly does the travel soccer, and she's kind of like voicing her opinion. Like, I don't like doing all this, and we're listening. Like, well, why
travel,
don't you?
it's so expensive anyway, right? So, you're almost forced to do every tournament that there is.
That's what it is, and if you don't do it, then you don't play. I was like, well, I get that part. You have one kid that's dedicating their time. They should get a playing spot over somebody who's like, I'm just going to go when I want to go. Mm-hmm. I get that part. But when they're saying, hey, for soccer, hey, we got 40 games this year. 40 games in 2 months?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. So
yes, right.
I'm exaggerating. But.
I don't know anything about travel soccer. How far are you traveling?
Well, Carly would go all the way to like Michigan City, out there, on the beaches. So they would do beach soccer, sand soccer, whatever you want to call it. Somewhere in the far northwest suburbs, all the way to Palatine. To me that's not far because I'm used to traveling on my own, and then I'm used to Seth too. Mm-hmm. As a wrestling, we go all the way down to Springfield. We can go all the way up to Tulsa, Reno, Wildwood, New Jersey.
Yeah,
that's traveling for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But retaining some of these kids in wrestling, it is hard. You need to have, the way I've done it, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's working for us. Every other year, we'll have like what we call a loaded schedule. Maybe not loaded, but so this year is our loaded schedule. Last year we didn't go to as many tournaments and we didn't wrestle as many times last year.
Okay.
So every other year we're kind of like,
right. So now you said Seth is going to be done playing baseball then? Like that's
he doesn't want to do it. He's done with baseball.
Yeah, my guys were the same way. My guys were like, at some point it was like...
He likes running though, so...
Yeah, right. No, that's awesome anyway because that's great for cardio for wrestling.
Oh, for sure. It's great. You know what? People think, running is just running. Actually, it's a mind game too.
Willpower.
Yeah,
right? Keep it going.
It's a mind game. You try running for, people say, it's only running 20 minutes worth. Oh yeah, run 20 minutes, but try to keep your mind, focused and concentrated, like, breathing, form.
Absolutely. When I do 10 miles in the freaking wheelchair, it's like almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm out there forever.
It's a mind game.
Yeah, just keep going. So now will he start to do any, I never seen him around freestyle or Greco or any of that.
So he dabbled in it the first tournament this past season. Mm-hmm. He did really well. He won.
Yeah, right.
But we didn't do the state tournaments because we looked at it. I was like, man, that's a long drive.
I'll be honest, it doesn't matter anyway because it's not even that popular until they get into high school.
Yeah, the Fargo and all
right.
that stuff.
My guys did some Greco and some freestyle when they were little guys, and there's just not a lot of competition there. Seth would blow through it anyway. But once you're in high school, there's a lot.
And that's why we haven't been. We'd rather go do other fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we dabbled with a couple tournaments here in Illinois. So he has done, freestyle and the Greco.
Right.
He's been training it for a long time, so it's not new to him.
Yeah.
The only thing that will be new are the tournaments.
Yeah.
So
right,
it's
right.
it's in his repertoire. I mean, it's in his back pocket.
Good.
So
I like to see parents that, I mean, Seth's one of the top kids in the nation, and you're still keeping it grounded with, hey man, we need some time to go fishing, and we need some time to, you know what I mean? Like, you're not, like, I see parents that, like, the minute that their kid shows any signs of success, they go off the rails. Like, the parent loses their mind.
What do you mean?
Well, the minute that their kid, wins something, like I saw a parent take their kid to, and I don't know, they distort the reality themselves too. The parent takes their kid to a national tournament, they luck out, they show up, and there's 6 kids in the bracket, and the kid takes first place, and there was nobody there to wrestle, and now their kid's a national champ, and they're making the kid do.
Yeah, I know.
Extra.
I can figure that's where you're going.
Whoa, slow down. And now the kid, and then
Pump the brakes.
you're drumming that kid out of the sport because you've all of a sudden upped the ante to, like, every time you go to a national tournament, he's got to win. Well, that's not going to happen. Reality was you showed up and there was nobody there.
And there's ways to train around that, and this is what I do with Seth too. I mean, it's no secret. I talk about it all the time. I was like,
and Seth's a breed apart. He's a disciplined kid. That kid from a young age was like paying attention to diet, and like, I mean, you guys were doing really good with the food and everything else that he was making, and the treadmill.
He makes everything. Yeah,
yeah, right.
Oh, here's your
right.
cat.
Yeah, there it
is.
Sure.
And that still, that still applies to today. I mean, it's, if you don't know that having too much sugar is bad for you, when I say bad sugar, I talk complex sugars. I mean, the simple sugars, not complex sugars.
Refined sugar, the white shit.
If you don't know that's bad for you, then you need to go back to health class.
Right. My cat's gonna totally.
That's okay. It probably smells my cat.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good OCD, I guess. It's like it's not the OCD like, oh, I gotta turn the knob 3 times. It's the OCD like. Should I be having that? Let me look it up. Like, everything's look up. Everything's Google. Everything's research.
Good
with him.
Great.
And he does that with everything. I mean, he is a unique kid. I'm not just saying that because I'm his dad, but he is very different.
No, he is. I was in the group of people that were coaching him when he first, showed up at the Lincoln Way Wrestling Club, and he was a kid that. There's certain kids when you talk to them, like, coaching wise, and you look them in the eye and you're explaining something. You knew that, like, Seth was getting it.
Yeah.
He was coming in there. Other kids, you'd be talking to him, and in the middle of the sentence, he's like, I lost him.
Adults do that.
Right.
Adults do that.
The attention deficit disorder. But anyways, well, good, man. If anything comes up that there's something that I think I had like 15,000 minutes in the last 28 days of people like viewing a thing just on YouTube and stuff like that. If there's something coming up that I could be of any assistance at all in promoting, you raising money.
I'll shoot it over to you. I mean, the only thing.
Yeah, give me some links, all that other stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm getting my schedule ready for the next year of what races I want to do, and it's not about, like I said, hey, look at me, look at my races. It's literally, I try to raise a minimum. Now I'm back down to like $1,000 per race. And people are like, oh, that's a lot of money. If you think about it, $1,000 per race is not a lot of money. It's not. And like I said, all this money is going to others. And right now, actually, I'll probably start pushing out to you, but Seth really wants to help out, disadvantaged youth athletes, better themselves, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even if it's paying for their, put it towards wrestling, if it's paying for the wrestling season, if we can pay for their card or if we can pay for something.
Sure.
Seth's, I'll come out with it, but he has a pretty cool idea that he's doing at the house.
Yeah.
And so we'll be pushing it out soon.
Good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So, well, cool, man. I like I said, I think we hit the basics of what you did. A big, phenomenal accomplishment, and hope to see you do more, man.
I'll be busy. I'm always around.
I'm not easily impressed with people. When you're busting around a wheelchair all the time, somebody doing something, sometimes it's not that impressive. But what you did is, and it's good that I'm glad that. I do always get concerned when I see service guys who saw a lot of action and stuff. Like, I worry about their mental place.
I do too. I work on my own.
Well, right. No, and I mean, I've spent time talking to you, and I've never got the feeling that you were off in any way as far as that goes. Like, you've definitely dealt with it well. Hopefully, somebody else can draw some inspiration or example.
Well, there's a lot of
from
guys
you?
out. It's not just me. There's tons of guys out there like that. They're solid individuals.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a solid guy, but there's a lot of guys out there that are solid individuals, and I've always surrounded myself with those guys. So, like I said, you become who you hang out with.
Right.
So, and that's
right.
one of those things is hopefully, I was marrying, good people.
Right.
That's
Right.
all.
Right. Right.
And hopefully Seth and my daughter marry me too.
Yeah. So, well, hey, that's it, as long as you're giving off the good vibes, I would think that stuff's easy to pick up on, especially for kids. I know I've seen your son in a couple of interviews, and he's definitely you're a big part of his inspiration for what he does and the motor that he has. He's said it flat out. My dad, this. Peyton was interviewed for the paper, and he made a whole thing that my dad this, my dad that, and I
Feels pretty good, right?
Yeah, I feel better than good.
Yeah.
I looked at
Don't forget mom.
Right. We were sitting there at the table, and
Kelly.
right. There you go. Right. We were sitting at the table, and I read the article that they interviewed Peyton, and I was like, I'm not a crier, but I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And I was mentioned a couple times in there, and I looked at him, and I go, hey, everything I did to driving you everywhere were even. I looked at the other boy, and I go, you got a little work to do yet.
That's awesome.
Quite even.
Remember, we don't cry. Just usually someone's cutting onions.
Yeah, right. Well, tough guys, I guess they're supposed to be guys that cry more than other guys. But this part of the podcast where I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Do me a favor, please click this red subscribe button. This is not for money, but if I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere with it, if I don't feel like I'm gaining subscribers, then it doesn't seem like a thing to do. If people are listening, especially with ones like today's podcast with Mike, like the more people that are listening, the more people that might look up the Semper Fi Fund and then help out a guy who needs help. So please click the subscribe button. By all means, if you've got some information about this podcast, about any podcast, comment in the area below so that I'll engage with you. If there's something that you're looking for from Mike, I will try and push the contact information over so that we can help out guys with the Semper Fi Fund and get some stuff done. But thanks, man.
Yeah, and if they have any questions, then they get thepatriotracer.com.
There you go. The website.
And that has information on just my races. I blog a little.
I'm gonna grab some pictures and some links from you. Okay. Send them to me so I can pop them in the video, and I'll put them in the even the audio one. I think you can find them somewhere. So cool.
All right,
thanks, man. Yeah, it's a good time.
Here we go. A 2-dash. A 96. A D-score. A parasolic. And here we go. The Lactic tab case. Reconnaissance tab. With the Vietnam. Till the Vietcong. Didn't smoke no grass.